Deep Rising is a movie that, amongst other things, has a sinking cruise ship. Want to know another movie that came out only a month before that featured a sinking cruise ship? Titanic. Obviously that took the wind out of the sails a bit for Deep Rising. But if you watched it, you know how it ended, and how it was the perfect setup for a prequel to King Kong. It opens up telling us about the deep, dark mysteries of the ocean, and how there are many areas no man has ever explored. Countless ships have gone missing in the South China Sea without explanation. Well, I guess there's storms, pirates, equipment failures, human error, and, well, I guess sea monsters too. Now we meet the captain of our small ship, John Finnegan. He leads a crew that will take any job, no questions asked, as long as you pay. He has a pretty small crew too, consisting of really only Leela and Joey Pantusi, played by Kevin J. O'Connor, who's probably more famous for playing Benny in The Mummy.
What a surprise! My good friend, you're alive! I was so very, very worried.
Well, if it ain't my little buddy Benny.
The rest of the people on board are all rough, tough pirates with a job to do. What is that job? Well, for now, we don't know, but they are armed to the teeth. Next, we go inside a huge cruise ship, and we meet Simon Canton, the owner of the extravagant vessel. Also on board is Trillian St. James, played by Famke Janssen. Ah, yes, I finally get a chance to talk about her. I think that she's a stone-cold fox. Most probably know her from GoldenEye or X-Men, but she's also in my favorite guilty pleasure horror movie of all time, House on Haunted Hill. There's just something about her that is, You know when you get married and your wife is like, okay, you get one girl to sleep with and I won't care. Well, if I'm walking down the street and Famke Janssen comes on to me, I'm cashing that one in. Anyway, where was I? Oh yes, Trillian bumps into the ship's captain, which seems innocent enough. But we soon learn that she's some big-time thief, and she stole his wallet.
Hey, did you just take his wallet? He just took that guy's wallet!
Back to Finnegan for a little bit, and we see Pantusi snooping around where he shouldn't be. He finds the pirate's stash of weapons, and he gets caught. They beat the crap out of him, and apparently Kevin J. O'Connor actually got bruised up in this scene. I would think so, with all these big dudes kicking you for so long. Finally, Finnegan comes in to defuse the situation, showing that despite all the testosterone on board, he's still in charge.
Okay, I'll say it one more time for the hearing impaired.
On the cruise ship, Trillian manages to get into the captain's vault and is about to steal some jewels when she gets caught.
Good evening, mademoiselle.
Hello.
And then locked into the cooler. Elsewhere on ship, someone is sabotaging the main computer, which causes everything to shut down. Communications, radar, everything. They're sitting ducks. Then, suddenly, the ship is attacked. Rich people go flying all over the place and panic ensues. One girl hides out in the bathroom, only to have something suck her into the toilet. I hate it when that happens. The pirates see the cruise ship go dark, and they go into action. But then they crash into a speedboat, ruining the engine and putting a huge hole in their ship. But that's just a minor inconvenience for the pirates, who still have a job to do. Which at this point, it seems like it has something to do with the cruise ship. They manage to get on board, expecting to see all the guests, but there's no one. Not a soul in sight. They wander all around looking for answers, but there's no one, and the place is in shambles. A little weird, but that doesn't change the fact that they have a job to do. which seems to be to get to the vault. While they're doing that, Leela stays back to try to repair their ship, and she doesn't seem to be doing a very good job. What exactly is she hoping to accomplish with that blowtorch there? While she works, a dead guest comes floating up to scare the ever-living daylights out of Leela. Then, something comes in and gets her. It seems like our main cast has now split into two groups. Half went to find the vault, while the others try to find the mechanics bay to get parts to fix their ship. While scrounging around, this guy T-Ray hears something and goes to get a closer look. And the monster gets him. Elsewhere, Trillian manages to get out of the cooler she was once locked in, and seems just as confused as to what happened here as everyone else. Eventually, she is caught by the pirates, and their leader, Hanover, demands to know what happened here. But she doesn't know. Finally, they get to the vault, and when they open it up, surprise! An axe to the head! It turns out that this is where Canton and some of the other people have hid out. After the guys go a little trigger happy, they all talk, and the only thing Canton can say is that he thought that they were one of those things. Whatever those things are. Eventually, the two groups meet up and point their guns at each other. They do that a lot in this movie. They load up in the elevator, which goes hurling down to the bottom floor and explodes as it hits the ground. And everyone is perfectly fine. Seriously, no one even broke a leg. Whatever. In this room, they can see it's a bloodbath, with creepy skeletons all over the place. The monster attacks them, and it looks like the walls are closing in. Then, when a guy steps on a skull, that triggers the creature, and the men fire blindly at it. They must have turned on the unlimited ammo glitch. Finally, the group gets a minute to catch their breath, and that's when the captain says it all happened so fast. First, the ship was shut down. Then, the monster attacked, and they couldn't call for help. By this point, though, Finnegan has it all figured out. It was Canton who shut everything down. Yeah, the guy who owns the ship, he destroyed the computer and hired Hanover and his men to rob the guests. Then, sink the boat with torpedoes. After that, he'd be able to collect all the insurance money. The monster? Well, that was unexpected. While the guys fight, a huge spiky tentacle comes down from the ceiling, with what looks like a person inside it. They shoot it open, and Billy falls out, one of the guys who stayed behind at the other ship. He's all gross looking and half digested. It's nasty. They all shoot at it and then run away, which kinda is the theme here. Run, see a tentacle monster, shoot, run, rinse and repeat. Eventually, they get a minute to catch their breath, and Canton thinks that this creature is an offshoot of the Ottoia family, a worm-looking thing that, at 4,000 feet in the ocean, is about as long as a pencil. But they have found some at 20,000 feet that have been known to eat sharks. So go deeper, and I guess this is what you get. The worst part is that these animals drink you alive, sucking all the fluids out and then spitting out the skeleton. So that's nice. They keep going around the ship looking for a new way out. Then they reach a part filled with water. The only way forward is just on the other side of the wall. So they're gonna have to swim. This reminds me of that part in the Poseidon adventure, the part where the old lady died. That always freaked me out, because I know if I was put in that situation, where I had to hold my breath that long, I'd be dead. Anyway, everyone that matters gets through, and they move on to the next obstacle, which is more fighting and shooting at the monster. More people die, more bullets are fired. It all accumulates to Trillian finding a jet ski and Finnegan going back to his ship. Not to escape, he knows that it won't make it, but to fire a torpedo and hopefully blow up the monster. To his surprise, Pantusi shows up out of the blue, and Finnegan has to inform him that Leela died. I guess they were a thing. That sucks. Pantusi helps rig up the boat and prepares it to fire. Back to Trillian, who gets stopped by Canton, who wants the jet ski for himself. He's seen that there's an island close by, so all he has to do is kill all the survivors, so there won't be any witnesses to his plan, then make his escape. Luckily, Finnegan comes in to save the day. They get away, and we finally get a nice up-close shot of the monster. Up until now, we've only seen its tentacles. Finn manages to shoot its eye out.
You'll shoot your eye out! You'll shoot your eye out!
We go back to Canton real quick, and he thinks he sees his way out. But then, the autopilot kicks in, and he has to make a jump for it. Finnegan and Trillian make their escape on a jet ski, kind of like a water Terminator. On the other boat, Canton tries to steer it, but the manual override is locked, and it's about to crash right into the cruise ship.
Game over, man. Game over.
Hey, at least he got his wish. He wanted the ship destroyed. It's just he didn't want to die in the process. Our heroes manage to escape the flames in epic fashion, and the ship explodes as they make their way to the island. They kiss for really no other reason than because it makes for a happy ending, and somehow Pantusi survived the entire ordeal. But this island looks kind of familiar, like Monster Island, or maybe Skull Island? They hear a giant roar coming from deep in the forest. And it looks like they just went out of the frying pan and into the fire.
Now what?
And that was Deep Rising. And yes, it was originally conceived to be a sort of King Kong reboot, with Kong being that monster on the island. After being in development hell for years, it eventually turned into the 2005 Peter Jackson remake. Now, that movie's fantastic, but I do wonder what King Kong would have been like if they went in this direction. I guess we'll never know. Another interesting fact is that they wanted Harrison Ford to play Finnegan, and Jim Carrey to play Joey Panucci. That would have been interesting. As I said, this movie came out right after Titanic, and there is only enough room for one cruise ship movie in 1998, I guess. So, Deep Rising tanked. Which sucks, because it's actually not that bad. It's not perfect, but if you go in with a bucket of popcorn looking to be entertained, I think you'll be happy. And Famke Janssen is pretty easy on the eyes. I give Deep Rising 3 half-digested billies out of 4.
But unlike you, you don't even know me.